The opinions expressed in the following programs are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers Cable or Rogers TV.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of At the Heart of Business. I'm your host, Judith Tate. At the Heart of Business is a conversation with women in business discussing their challenges and successes. Our first guest today is Julia Seaton, owner of Welcome Home with Julia. Hi, Julia.
Hi, Judith.
Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me today. This is exciting.
Yes, it is. And you look lovely.
Thank you.
So tell us all about, so you're a realtor.
I'm a realtor, yes.
Yes. And I know that you do a lot of like real estate investing and you've done flips. And how many properties do you have?
Currently, we have 5 doors, including the house that we live in,
Okay.
2 of which are in the U.S.
Oh,
so
okay.
That's pretty exciting.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really good. Okay, so tell us all about your business and what's your why in getting started?
So as far as, I guess, venturing into real estate, I can go way back when I was a lot younger. I wanted to own a restaurant. So back in 2007, I thought, well, I can't afford to own a restaurant, maybe I'll own a chip truck. And I guess it comes down to getting started, how to get started. And what it started with was going on Kijiji with my husband and seeing a chip truck. And then just going through all the different processes. But that whole experience made me realize how attainable certain things were. I ended up venturing into real estate instead after a series of events, but just to get there and getting started was pretty neat. That with an idea you can run with it. A lot of things aren't impossible.
Yeah. Okay. No, that makes sense. So I remember during a discussion, you were talking about how you started with your chip truck, and then there was a catalyst that made you go down the road of real estate.
Yeah.
Investing.
So what had happened was after my chip truck, I decided, okay, I'm going to get a job at a busy pub, work my way up to supervisor, then start the process and try to open a restaurant. And by the time I got to that point, I had gone through a couple of liquor board hearings, and I really noticed that in order to make money in the restaurant industry, you really have to foster alcoholism and spending money. By then, we had our first investment property in Niagara Falls, and I really liked the way the process was and went down with that. So when I was off on mat leave with my second child, I spoke with my husband. He agreed that he thought it would be cool if I got into this business. So I started learning about real estate and taking the course, and here I am, years later, and I love the work. I love helping people secure housing, but also, we're doing our own investing and flipping and establishing ourselves and our future for our children and our family.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. And of course, real estate is probably the best way to build wealth. So,
definitely.
Yeah, so good for you. So how did you actually start with the investing side? Because you started as a realtor. And now you're in the investing side. What was the main attraction?
Well, we started actually investing before I got into real estate. So I guess the attraction was financial gain. The first investment we had, my husband has 2 other children, and they were living in the Niagara region, and it was a lot easier to get a property and rent out 2 of the units on the property, and then have them stay there rather than having to transport them back and forth. So that was the first initial investment. And then once they were older and had jobs, we sold that. And that's when my husband started getting into the flipping. So at that point I was a realtor. And then we had done many flips. And then when the way our tax structure changed and the way, interest rates were higher, when we transitioned to go into the US, it just made a lot more sense because the cost of entry is a lot less expensive than in Canada. So right now we have 2 properties in Niagara Falls, New York, that one is Airbnb and the other one's a straight rental, but the costs are a lot less.
Yeah, we're probably going to see a lot more of that now, especially with the change to the capital gains tax.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people they're just kind of, fluctuating to the U.S. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I had already started moving, or
Yeah.
like we had already started moving our investments to the U.S. because of the way the structure was, and then really, if you're going to start doing that, like I spoke with an accountant, I spoke with a U.S. accountant, I spoke with lawyers. They structured the stuff for me, so you know,
Nice.
I'm not going on like my own.
Yeah.
My own thought, because like, you know, I was watching reels and I was like, oh, I want an LLC because that's what they talk about in
Yeah.
the US. But as a Canadian owning property in the US or owning a business in the US, you'd be taxed at something ridiculous like a 66% tax bracket.
okay.
So it's really structuring like what type of business you're opening in the States and then how you're setting it up. So speaking with the proper legal team and accounting team to know how to set that up as well.
Yeah.
But I am hearing a lot more of like Canadian investors moving their assets elsewhere because it just doesn't seem like a good viable business idea when you're going to be you know, hit at the end so much. And I'm fortunate that our last investment property that I'm trying to offload now, that is in our personal names, because had I had it in a business name, we would have been automatically taxed at 66% from the get-go. So
Oh, wow.
just the way they have it structured. So yeah, I'm not too pleased. I'm hoping that they'll make changes before I have to offload the other one. But
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
All the
Interesting
different
times.
things.
Yeah. Excellent. So what challenges have you faced in your business?
many.
Yeah.
Many. So I guess as far as the flipping is concerned, when we first started, it would be like maxing out all the credit cards before everything closed, and then navigating that, you know, moving things around. That was pretty stressful. As far as straight being a real estate agent, kind of pivoting back to that, I guess back in 2017 when the market had gone crazy and crashed, I had my first encounter, because I started real estate in 2013, everything that I had done was on a trajectory up. So the idea of selling a property after, or selling a property before purchasing a property wasn't commonplace at the time. So I had this amazing couple that were absolutely lovely. We went out, we found a house, bought a house for $1 million, and I'm like, oh yeah, for sure you're gonna get at least $720 for your house. And I put it on the market, and that was, I think it was May 2 for a weekend where everything switched in 2017, and put it on the market and was holding off offers, but I didn't get any showings. There was nobody showing up, and the market just kind of took a nosedive. Ultimately, when we did get an offer, like they needed a certain amount in order to close on that property, but ultimately I ended up rebating my entire commission to solve that, solve it so they could close. But that was my first experience where it was just like, I really needed to figure it out and take ownership. Luckily, there was enough money there that I was able to navigate the situation, but it was pretty stressful. I guess it's just taking ownership when I do make a mistake, and when there is a challenge, it's just, you know, trying to come up with a solution. But now I'm a lot, you know, more careful. That comes with wisdom and time. But
yeah, so that's actually what I was going to ask you next. Like, what do you think, like looking back, what do you think you could have done differently to prevent that?
Well, now it's more education. Like I didn't even put that off as an option. So if a client wants to take that risk, then I make sure that they are fully aware of the risks and what can happen. I tell them that story, and then I also, you know, try to set it up in such a way that they're protected. So if it's a situation where I'm concerned that they're not going to be able to buy another house if we sell first, there is like conditions you can put in place. Like there's a condition of the seller finding suitable accommodations. That's something you can put in to make sure that your seller clients who are moving on are prepared. In a market such as this, because now we're in more of a balanced market at this particular time, I'm encouraging people to sell first, buy second. But at the same time, you still advise that those things can shift at any time, and educating themselves and me providing them with like, okay, if you sell your house for this, these are the types of homes that you could qualify for. So they're aware of what their transition is going to look like.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. So how do you educate? Because you mentioned education, right? And that's really, really important when you're doing any business. So there's also the educating your clients. How do you help your clients to be educated on, buying properties or?
Well, I will send them comparable listings. I will take them out to properties before before we even start the process of, say, if they wanted to do like a transitional move. I take them out to properties prior to listing, properties that are comparable to theirs and properties that they would like to move into, and just run the numbers, have them speak with a mortgage professional and make sure that what that looks like. And then if they have a current mortgage, what does it look like? Can they port that mortgage over to the new property? Do they have to have some sort of penalties for closing out the mortgage? So there's all sorts of things, but yeah, and then it's also talking to the other necessary professionals. Lawyers, if they're, say, cohabitating, like a lot of times you're seeing now, people will sell their properties and then move in with their parents, but what does that look like? So what does it look like for, if there's other siblings involved, what does that look like as far as wills are concerned, who's on title, and you don't want there to be any unclarity when it comes to that type of thing as well. So speaking with lawyers about.
Yeah. So if someone wanted to come to you to, list their house, do you have a whole team that you work with? Are you kind of like a one-stop shop? I'm a one-stop shop as far as I'm the only agent, but I do have a team of other agents around me that are also, incredible agents. But then I have a stager, I have a cleaner, I have lawyers I can refer to, I have many mortgage brokers I can refer to as well. So it's, it's just I can coordinate a bunch of different people, but I'm not a team type of agent. I'm a All right.
So,
well, at least that's good for people to know, though, that, they're going to be fully taken care of.
Oh, definitely.
If they're purchasing or selling a home, because you've got all these different professionals that you work with.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, even on March 31st, I was in a car accident, and I had an open house scheduled that day. And as soon as I was I'm in the ambulance, I called my manager. I'm I can't do this. Can you help me out? He just took the reins and took over. He had that lined up. He had people lined up to help my clients over the next couple of days just to make sure that everything ran smoothly. So yeah, even if I was taken out of the equation, I have a great resource of backup with Royal LePage, which is awesome.
That's great.
Yeah.
So tell us about the great work that you do in the community.
Oh, okay. Well, once a year, I do I help organize an annual cleanup for my neighborhood. So the town of Ajax has this really awesome thing where if you want to organize a cleanup, they'll provide you with bags, gloves, and a pickup. So this year it was 3 locations with the help of a couple of other people, but at Cedar Park, and then there was a little parkette, the Louise Johnson Parkette and Lord Elgin. And a bunch of people got out and cleaned up the community. So that's really, really great to get that going. And then the high school students could also get some community service hours, which was cool. I'm on the board of directors for Community Living, which is an organization which helps support people with developmental disabilities to varying different capacities, from group homes to daycare. So it's pretty amazing organization. So I'm really, really happy to be a part of that. I'm on the Community Safety Advisory Committee with the Durham Region Police. So that's really cool. They meet quarterly and, just to help create positivity in the community and keep our streets safe. So
that's great. Well, thank you so much, Julia. This was a great conversation.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And stay tuned. We'll be up next with Vannessa Williams of Beyond Your Sunshine.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
They've reached the summit! Back-to-back Stanley Cup victories.
Greatness.
And a new legacy begins.
Absolutely amazing.
It has happened in Vegas.
It's not a destination.
And lightning has struck twice.
It is a continuous journey that never ends.
These are the moments you dream of. Stanley Cup champions.
This is Rogers TV.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to At the Heart of Business. I'm your host, Judith Tate. At the Heart of Business is a conversation with women in business discussing their challenges and successes. So our next guest is Vannessa Williams, owner of Beyond Your Sunshine. Hi, thank you for joining us again.
Thank you so much for having me back.
Yeah, so you were here on the show.
February.
Oh boy, was it February?
Yeah,
okay,
it was a
good.
while back.
I'm glad you remembered because
Yeah.
I didn't.
When it was freezing and now it's boiling hot.
Yes, yes, that's right. Excellent. So tell us what's new in your business, because I know you've kind of taken a bit of a different direction.
Yeah, so after our segment, a lot of different things started to align for me. And where I'm at now is because when we were first talking, I was talking about how I've been bringing astrology to different businesses. One thing we did touch on last time was my background in resolving conflicts, so mediation. And I wanted to get back into that space. Like, that is my bubble. I resolve conflicts daily, all the time, inner conflicts, outer conflicts with clients, with my family. So I'm like, how can I marry my mediation background with astrology? And it was actually really easy to do that. There were so many common threads between how you resolve conflicts and what astrology allows us in order to resolve those conflicts. So I was bringing it to businesses, being like, well, let's look at the charts of everybody in your establishment and we can figure out who would be good for here, who, even like with seating positions, right? With HR, you can see in the chart when someone is going to be an amazing worker or they want to do like work on their own. So it's been amazing because now it makes more sense for me to be going to these businesses as a corporate trainer and training them how to incorporate astrology into any conflict at work, or even just to know how your business is expanding, right? So it's different, like it's definitely innovative and it's definitely unique, but it's been really working and I'm loving it.
Oh, that's great. So what kind of businesses, like do you work with small businesses and large corporations? Like who do you?
Small businesses mainly right now. I've been going into schools mainly, talking to other paralegals, other like law students as well, and just seeing if they would be interested in incorporating like astrology into their practices. So I mainly go into like the small businesses because that actually ends up being more of a preventative measure, like to go into your business with this knowledge as opposed to reacting after your business is like 10 years in, being like, okay, now these people cannot work together, right? It's easier to start at the onset. So I've been basically infiltrating small businesses.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. I love it.
Yeah.
You mentioned charts. What? Explain the charts. What's that?
The chart is basically a snapshot of the sky at the exact moment, day, time, location of the inception of a business or a person or an event, right? Okay. So what I'll do is I'll take their chart and I can really see like small little personality traits, especially of the business or of the employees or employer. So I'm using their exact birth time and location, so I know that it's very fine-tuned to them.
Oh, okay. Now, what if they can't find their birth time?
Oh, man. So with the business aspect, that makes it a little bit, like everybody would know the day and time that they registered their business because they have to for like tax purposes, right? Like it's in their inbox, I'm sure. But for the employees, you can get away with understanding how to resolve conflicts or how to best suit an employee or employer or even like a client through even just through their sun sign. And you don't need your birth time to know your sun sign, right?
Okay.
So for example, like if you had, like, I don't know what your producer's sun sign is, but for you being a Libra, I would know to tell you, okay, you need balance in your work environment. Like you can't have this BS work-life balancing. It has to be legit. You have to have balance in all these different areas or else you're gonna be out of harmony. And I would say to your employer, hey, go to Judith because she's amazing at mediating conflicts or providing peace and harmony in an environment or a great conversationalist, right? So it's just really showing employers the strengths and weaknesses of each employee or client and then how they can really work with that, with however they want to. They want to use it how they want, go right ahead. It's a tool, right?
Okay. So Deborah, my lovely producer, she's a Gemini.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
amazing. So a Gemini and a Libra go very well together because they're both air energy. So together you guys have amazing conversations. You can talk about literally every and anything.
Yeah.
Don't go too deep, but you can at least get the headlines out.
Yeah.
But communication is going to be your strong suit. So for something like that, if I went to your employer and said, let Judith and Deborah have a conversation, like don't penalize them for talking at work, because they actually function better when they're able to communicate and connect with people. Don't isolate the Gemini, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get the Gemini going around and talking to everybody.
Yeah.
Right? And
Okay.
I feel like when people are seen for who they are and they don't have to try and force it, like my Scorpio husband, he's not the type to walk down the hall saying good morning to everybody. That's just not his vibe. But for me, I would probably jump on someone, give them a hug, say hello, right? So I would like a conducive work environment that allows me to either be my Libran self and open, and would allow someone like my Scorpio partner to be their closed self. And that's okay. We leave them where they're at.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. So tell us a bit about people who are Cancer sign
Okay.
in the work environment.
So Cancers, they would be best being able to work from home. Like if you had a hybrid situation, let the Cancer work from home. They actually will work from home. Don't let the Aries, get the Aries out on the street, right? Get the Aries moving around. But the Cancer rules home and family. Also with things like that, Cancer is an emotional sign, right?
Okay.
So with business, a lot of the times we take it so personal, where we can understand if I have a Cancer sitting in front of me, I have to understand that they are going to take this business meeting personal. So I have to adhere to that. Whereas an Aries would be more like this, or Capricorn, this is business, I'm not taking it personally. So we can adhere to that, we can accommodate people. Right? Don't send the Cancer to the washroom crying over their business mistake.
Yeah.
Right? Be sensitive and compassionate, and you'll have a better return in that connection, right?
Wow, there's so much to unpack there. I feel that this conversation, we could talk for like, a whole day.
Well, yeah, there goes the Libra again, right?
I am a true Libra, that's for sure.
Me too.
Yeah, excellent. So, okay, so now making this transition, any challenges that have come up? What challenges have you faced?
Well, the challenges, like for example, just being in the chair with the makeup artist Ruthie, some people don't have this belief, right? So I can only imagine if somebody walked into their business and, everybody's like, okay, this is now what we're doing. We're incorporating astrology into work. Some people would probably be almost like offended. It can go against their belief system, right?
Yes.
So I think the biggest challenge is removing stigma, removing fear of the unknown, and just allowing the dialogue for it. Like, let's at least talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay, if we're gonna introduce this belief system, how can we introduce your belief system into the workplace as well, right?
Yeah.
And just allowing people to just come together.
Yeah.
Right?
No, for sure.
Where they're at.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, that makes perfect sense. I could see how, astrology might go against
It's
some
hit or
beliefs.
miss. I've been finding better luck with the millennial employers.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
'cause it's
less
kinda
old school
trendy.
thinking.
Yeah, which is fine.
Yeah.
It is what it is. There are some like older generations that are open to it.
Yeah.
Depends on where they're at in their business and how
Yeah.
desperate they are
Yeah.
for like a change or anything, inspiration even, right?
Okay, I love it. And how do you define success?
Success to me, I saw success the other day. I had my Scorpio cousin. Oh, I hope I don't get emotional. My Scorpio cousin came over. Sorry, I can't.
I always make people cry.
Oh my
somehow.
God. No, this isn't even like but she just said that she felt really safe
Yeah.
at my house, and holy shit. And that
okay, you're doing
was success,
Oh,
to just be
that's
like a
sweet.
safe space for someone.
Yeah.
Sorry. Wow.
No, that's okay. And I can see why that would be emotional for you, because it just that just has such meaning, and to know that you are a safe space for someone, that's and I can feel that from you. You're awesome.
Well, thank you. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
I'm
Sorry,
I
Ruthie.
don't have any tissue.
I'm just talking crap, and now I'm like,
Oh, but you still look beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
There's the Libra again. That's the Libra trait, right?
Oh, yay, yeah, that's awesome. All right, so what words of advice would you have for anyone wanting to start in your type of business?
Authenticity is key. Don't be afraid to show who you are. Don't be
Yes.
afraid to, go out there and push back against the standards. You like
Yeah.
F the standards,
Yeah.
right? Who says? So my advice is really, if something feels right to you, it's right.
Yes.
Period.
Good.
Right?
Yes, that's true. And that is really, really important, just to like stick to your guns and like do what you feel is best for you.
Exactly.
Now-
And there's always a space in the world, especially in 2024, there's always going to be a space in the world that you can fit into authentically.
I love that.
Right?
Yes.
You don't need to conform. You can be you and just find your space.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. So, who impacts and influences you the most?
I think we just saw my Scorpio cousin obviously has an impact.
Oh, okay. Your
But
Scorpio
then
cousin.
also her grandmother, so my husband's grandmother, who is also a Scorpio, before she passed, she was trying to get astrology into schools because she saw the value of children and even high school and college, seeing that there's a space there where they can learn about themselves. So that's what our aim is like, if I can do all the work, we can bring it to the institutions, and maybe one day this is, an elective course in high school.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's the dream. That's the dream.
That would be, that'd be pretty cool.
I would love to live in a world where people came out of high school knowing at least their sun sign.
Yeah.
Like that would be just a more understanding world, I find.
Yeah. How do you think, or what kind of an impact do you think that would have, like if that was introduced into the education system?
I think that people would be more authentic. I had a young Pisces, 18 years old, torn between engineering and wanting to be a filmmaker. And for me, I know that Pisces rules film. So I'm sitting there being like, go the filmmaker route, the filmmaker route. But I also understood that culturally, he probably had to make the decision that was best for his family. So I think that astrology in schools would give the kids the validation and the confirmation that they need to go with their true path, the one that brings them joy and love, not the path that is safe or what mom and dad wants.
Yeah.
When you have that external, look, mom, I could be a filmmaker. Like, please let me at least try.
Yeah.
We kind of have a little bit more courage, more confidence to go and be who we want to be.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So tell us about your kids.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I have 2 Tauruses.
Yeah.
So Tauruses, they need comforts, and I find that it's really easy for me to basically manipulate their energy by sit on the couch, here's a blanket, here's your stuffy, here's food, now you're good. And that's easy for me.
Yeah.
Right? So the kids, I've been using astrology a lot with them, and it's just allowed for more understanding, right? Like it's a lot easier now to be like, oh, she's sleeping weird because it's a full moon, you know? Let's let her sleep in, right? Things like that.
Huh. Okay, I've got a Taurus at home, so I'll
Feed her?
but that's my husband though.
Oh,
so that's good to know. Oh yeah, he loves to eat. Well, thank you so much. This was
you.
great. I'm just so glad to see this this new direction that you're going in.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for having me.
Yes, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
And thanks to everyone for watching. We'll see you next time on another episode of At the Heart of Business.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.